Hello, my name is Doug Lazier, and today I wanted to record this video to show you the steps that you would go through to install the latest version of my donation software, the 2026 version, on a PC. I will create a separate installation video for installing on a Mac, but this one is specifically for the PC. Okay, let's take first of all a quick look at a high-level overview of the installation steps. So the first thing is when you request a copy of my software, you'll send me an email. I'll respond to your email, and I'll attach the Excel file to the email message I send back to you. You will want to extract that or download that from your email system and drop that on your local drive on your PC. You'll also, I'll provide a link to the user guide, which is a Word document, so you can get it from there. Optionally, you can also go to my website, and there's a link there as well to download the user guide from there. Okay, after you download it, the next step then is to put it out, like I say, on a local drive on your PC, to open it up and then customize it so that it works the way you need to for your church or your nonprofit organization. Critical things to do would be to add your list of donors and assign donor numbers and go through the parameters. That's how you adjust the software, and I've given you almost 100 parameters, so you can really customize it for your use. Decide how you want to use the software to record donations only or to track both donations and expenses. I know that the majority of you will be interested in the donations only portion of the software. And then after that, the final thing is to use the software, ask it to go through the various worksheet tabs and adjust them based on what your settings are in the parameters, and then finally save it. Save all of these changes we just made. Save the Excel file so that it's ready for your first donation. Okay, let's jump over to a PC that I have available to us, a separate laptop here, where we can go through the steps of doing the installation. As I said, I will send you an email message, and in that email message will be a link to download the user guide, the documentation, but also then I will attach the Excel file. You don't want to double click on it and open it inside of your email system. You want to extract it or download it out of the email. So let's do that in Gmail. It's clicking on this little download button, and depending on how your PC is set up, you might get an option to do a save as, or it might just directly go into your downloads folder. So I'll go ahead and download it into the downloads folder so that it will act kind of like what most PCs do, which is dropping it automatically into the downloads folder. Once it's there, you don't want to open it from there, but you want to instead open up the folder that is your downloads folder, so we can manipulate it from there. So I'm going to do that. Just go to the downloads folder. From here, we will want to make a copy of it and to drop it into our local drive. So let me just double click, or actually I'll do a right click. Come on, right click. Why aren't you working hard? We'll do it this way. We'll do a, oh, there it goes. We'll do a copy. And now we can go over to our local drive and create a new folder and paste it into there. So let's go to this PC, to the C drive, and we're going to first of all make a new folder. So the name of our church is First Church, located in Atlanta. So before I paste the file in, I want to create a new folder. So we'll just go to new, create a new folder here. Again, this is right off the root of the C drive on the PC, and we'll go ahead and call it First Church Donations. We'll make that folder. We'll open up the folder, and we will right click and paste the Excel file in there. Okay, so this is the Excel file we downloaded. It went to donate to the downloads folder. From there we moved it into our new folder. All right, I would say the next step you want to do is go ahead and rename this file. This is kind of a dumb generic name that I created. So let's instead rename it. Let's go ahead and call this one then First Church Donations. In our example, we're not going to do the optional expenses part. We'll just do the donations part only. So let's go ahead and just call it First Church Donations. Okay, so we've renamed the Excel file. Now we're ready to open it up and start working with it. I'm going to go ahead and double click on it and allow it to open in Microsoft Excel. Come on, Excel, you can do it. Okay, so in my Excel, it opened it up in protected view, meaning I can't really do anything with it till I enable the editing. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't care about their new things they want to show us, but oh look, we do have a small problem. This pinkish color line here is telling me we have a security risk. Microsoft has blocked the macros in here, and so basically that means my software is not going to run until we fix this problem. And this is a fairly common thing on the PC side. So let me show you how we're gonna deal with that. We're gonna go ahead and just close down the Excel file. Come back to the file that we created here, the Excel file, and we're going to right click on it, and we're going to choose Properties. And this is what that little pinkish warning was referring to, is that if we look down here at the bottom of our properties, we see this security setting saying, hey, I see that this file came from another computer, and so it's being blocked out to protect the computer. Now, in the PC world, under Windows 10, Windows 11, this should happen consistently, that it recognizes that this file got here through your email system. Sometimes it'll do the same thing if it sees that the file came from a jump drive, okay, or sometimes even from your local area network. But the idea is that it recognizes that this file came from another source, another computer, and just to protect you, it by default blocked the contents. And so we just simply want to do the unblock and then OK. And that's all it takes to fix this. Again, it should happen consistently on a Windows PC, but there are times that it doesn't do that. I don't know why. It's probably some kind of a weird Microsoft thing, but it's okay. If you see that message, do what I did, just unblock, do the properties and unblock that security setting. So now when we open it, we're not going to get that pinkish message, but instead we will get another yellow message, which is saying macros have been disabled. Now, in order again for my software to work, we need the macros to be running, so we will just simply enable the content. Now, the good news is that's a one-time adjustment. You won't get that message every time you open it up. It will remember that you told the PC that we're allowed to run macros in this particular Excel file. All right, but what we will get then is from within my software a message saying, hey, I see that this is the first time you've opened the donation software. There's a couple steps you must do in order to prepare this Excel file to work for your church or nonprofit organization. And that is, you need to enter your list of donors. You need to adjust or modify the parameters. That's how we customize it for your use. And then the final thing is to using the donation software menu to run an item called adjust the tabs from the parameters. So we're going to do those 3 steps now. Go ahead and click the OK here. When you use the software, it presumes you're doing a new donation, so it will always prompt you for your donation date. For what we're doing right now today, we're not doing a donation, we're just getting things set up and prepared. So go ahead and just cancel that little dialog box. Alright, so as it said, we're going to go to the donors list, and we want to insert here a list of our donors. So ideally you already have that a list of all of your donors available. Now I put mine in a little notebook tab just to make it a little simpler and quicker. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a list of our donors, and we're going to just you would, in your case, you might be typing them in manually, you might be pasting them from another system. I'm going to go and just do the simple copy and paste. You optionally have the ability to put in the donor's address and or their email address. That's all optional. Now, as you are adding your donors, you will need to extend the contents of this column F here. And what it's doing is basically it's asking the question, for each of my donors, do I want to print a receipt, yes or no? And so what we want to do for all of our new donors is go ahead and copy that. And I just did a right-click copy, then we'll paste it down to all of our new donors. Right-click and paste. All right, and what that does is it gives us the option then to use this little drop-down arrow and choose off of a list, yes, no, or print the receipt to a PDF file. Those are the options. Okay. All right, so enter all of your donors, assign donor numbers. I know a lot of churches use an envelope system, which means there is an assigned number for each of the people using the envelopes. For the ones that don't, just go ahead and make up some random numbers. Some other churches or nonprofits might actually have a numbering system already in place, so use that same numbering system. But the only thing I'd say is I would kind of suggest that you leave some gaps in your numbers, right? So like at our church, the people that donate all the time, they would be like listed 1 through 99, and then starting at 100, we'd have our loose offering, which is where people just throw money in the collection and we don't know who it belongs to. It's just a miscellaneous or an anonymous type of a donation. We have people that donate. Maybe we know that they're just visiting. It'll be a single donation, but we want to make a receipt for them. We probably would name a number that was like in the 200s or the 300s, just to have some holes in our numbering scheme. Okay, after we do our donors, the next thing we'll do is we'll come over to the parameters, and this is again where you customize it to make the software work the way you need it to. It could be as simple as putting in your church name and address. Let's go ahead and do that. First Church in Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll drop that in here, the name and address of the church. You'll notice as you work with this that a lot of the parameters implement a little drop-down feature so that you can select your choice from a list. In other cases, like we did with the name and address, it's something where you'll need to type in the words or type in the number. So it's kind of a mixture. As much as I could, I put in the drop-down methodology. Okay, the software does support multiple languages. So that would be a very, very important thing to do. First is to select your language if you're not using English. And let's go ahead and choose Portuguese. And so all of the software as soon as I choose the other language, all of the software converts to that particular language. Not only are the names of the parameters in Portuguese, but all of the drop-down items will now display in that language as well. So in order to make the correct selections on the drop-downs, you need to do the language first. So that would be a pretty important thing to do first. I'll go ahead and set it back to English. Now for the folks using this in foreign countries, you can also adjust then the date format. Month, day, year is what we standardly do in the US, but a pretty common international format would be year, month, day, or some are using day, month, year. So I give you those options. Okay, I mentioned that the majority of you will be using the donations only portion and not doing anything with tracking expenses, and so you would want to set this parameter to be donations only. Okay, now there are I mentioned a lot of parameters, in fact almost 100 of them. So again, in my documentation, my user guide, I have provided a lot of information about every one of the different parameters. And let me just pop that up again. So in every one of the different parameters that are here, I have information about how that particular thing works. If some of them are a little more complicated, then I provide not just this list and description or explanation, but a lot of detailed information where you need more information than just an explanation, where you need screenshots and other things. So again, I'm going to ask you to go to my user guide and go ahead and work your way down through all of the different sets of parameters that I've given you, and read the explanation, or as needed, the detailed explanation of those various parameters. So I'm not going to go through all of these in detail today, but let's talk about the ones that are very critical for you to use the software. And let's step down here to the categories. So for the various churches and nonprofits, you have these funds or categories that you use for recording your donations. Some churches would have like a tithes category, a separate offerings category, maybe something for their missions fund or their building fund. Okay, so it's important that we tell the software the names of your standard categories. And again, in my example, I'm just going to use a pretty simple example of general fund, missions, and charity. So you would just simply go here and replace these words with the names of your categories. And then the other thing is to tell the software how many categories do you want to use at your organization. I give you the option to track up to 20 different categories. Also give you the option to do the in-kind donations, sometimes referred to as non-cash donations. So that's an option as well. I've seen a lot of folks, as you're working your way through this the first time, enter the word specials here, thinking that they need to create an entry for your special offerings. And the answer is no, you don't need to do that, and here's why. Within my software, I allow you to define your standard donation categories, but I always will give you the option for those special offerings in addition to your standard categories. So you don't need to put the word specials in there, because I've already given you that column for your special offerings categories. It will always be there. Okay, the other thing If you are doing the expense portion of the software, then you will want to enter the names of your different accounts, your credit card account, your checking account, your savings account, might be the name of your, if you use PayPal, that might be something you'd enter here as well. So for all of your accounts, you'd want to enter those, and also again tell the software how many accounts you'll be using. I allow you to track up to 10. The final part here on the parameters would be for the foreign countries. By default, we will send it, it will have the currency set up for the United States. So here's where we can track our pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, the $1 bills, $5 bills, 10s, 20s, 50s, and hundreds. And yeah, maybe eventually the pennies are going to go away, possibly, but it's set up already for U.S. currency. If you are in a different country, then you just simply go through here and identify for your coins what is the name of each of your coins and what is its value. I think I have an example here for Canada. They don't have pennies, but they do have nickels, dimes, quarters, loonies, and toonies. So let's go ahead and drop that in. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so again, you type in the name of your coin, the value, as well as the same thing for your paper bills. And then the final thing is to tell it how many of those you are using. So if your currency uses 12 items, then you would type 12 in here and enter the names and values. All right, let's put it back to the way it was. There we go. So it's back to U.S. currency. Okay, so those are the kinds of things that you need to do as you are preparing this software. And then, as we said on the on that initial pop-up, once we make once we do our donors and our parameters, then we want to come to this menu here. This is a custom menu that I created within Excel for managing the donation software. And the first thing we want to do here is to do this thing called adjust tabs from parameters. So it's going to read all of the changes you made to this parameters tab, and then it's going to go through all of the different worksheet tabs here and make adjustments to it, hiding, unhiding, those kinds of adjustments based on what you did in the parameters. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's done making all the adjustments, and so at this point we are basically ready for our first donation. So the next important thing is just simply to save the Excel file, and from here we're ready to come back and start doing our donations. Now, one of the things that I'm going to suggest, let's go ahead and just shut this down. Since we have the file in its own separate folder, okay, the First Church Donations, that's a folder off of our local drive. You could come here every week and open up your Windows Explorer, find your way to your folder, and double click to open up the Excel file. You can do that every week, or what I suggest you might want to do is to go ahead and put a shortcut on your desktop, so that as you open up your PC and see your desktop, the first thing you do is just double click on the shortcut and let it find its way to your Excel file. So let's go ahead and do that. That should be as simple as right click on it and do a copy, come over here to your desktop, do a right click, and don't do a normal paste. No, you want to do a paste shortcut. Okay, the paste shortcut. And so now sitting on my desktop, when I open my PC each week to do the new donation, I will have this shortcut located here. And so if I double click on it, it will find its way to that folder and open up my donation software. And that's a double click to make that happen. Okay, put in the date of your donation and you're ready to get started. Okay, that covers a lot of the information, the important information that I needed to share with you about installing the donation software. One other thing I just wanted to talk about very briefly regarding the installation on a PC. I have the steps here that you go through to install it. I also have some information here about using the optional email functionality. So it's not necessary to email receipts or reports out of the software, but I do give you that as an option. The however is, on a PC you must have Outlook, the classic Outlook installed, and it must be configured correctly to work with your underlying email system like Gmail, Yahoo, or the other email systems. It has to be the classic Outlook, not Outlook Online, but the classic Outlook must be installed, and it must be working correctly and configured to work with your underlying email system. So I have some information there about doing that. The other thing is I included a lot of information, a little bit geeky, sorry about that, but related to using the Excel file in a cloud environment, especially OneDrive. Now let's jump back to my PC again here very quick, my laptop. Let me shut this down. Okay, let's take a look at this real quick, because I know what I've seen a lot of you do is to take my Excel file and drop the Excel file itself on your desktop, and I understand why you'd want to do that, and why in your mind it makes a lot of sense, but let me explain what's going on here. I'll go back to my downloads folder. I'll go ahead and copy this, the file that we extracted from the email one more time, and I'm going to go ahead and just drop it right here. Drop it right here on my desktop. And so what I've been seeing happen a lot is that a lot of the churches and nonprofit organizations have just recently upgraded to Windows 11 or bought a new computer running Windows 11. And the problem we have is that Microsoft, I do not like the way they do this, but Microsoft is grabbing everything you put on your desktop, and usually without your knowledge, it's grabbing that and moving out to its cloud environment, OneDrive. How do I know? Well, I'm going to go back to my Windows Explorer, and I'm going to go to my desktop. And if the desktop is set up again the way Microsoft typically does it, you will see an extra column right in here, and it'll have the word status at the top of it, and that status column is actually letting you know that that this folder, in our case the desktop, the entire desktop, the status is showing that it was successful in moving moving these files out to its its OneDrive environment. And so you think you're dropping it on your local desktop, when in fact what's happening instead is it's being moved out to the OneDrive environment. Sorry, I was hoping to maybe show you an example of that, where that status column is in here, but that's what it would look like. And so so basically all I'm suggesting is you typically don't want to put the Excel file with your sensitive church donation information out on Microsoft's OneDrive, and that's why I showed you the steps of creating your own local folder and putting the file there and not putting it on the desktop. If you do have a need though for using it in the cloud environment, again, refer to the geeky stuff I put there in my user guide about that. All right, I think that'll give you probably a pretty good overview of the installation steps on a PC, and check out the user guide or contact me if you have any additional questions. All right, thank you for the opportunity to show you the steps in doing the installation of my 2026 donation software.